Good evening everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the brief understanding about the peptic ulcer, one of the very common disorders of the gastrointestinal tract. Today's study outline, we are going to discuss about the definition of peptic ulcer, normal structure and function of the gastrointestinal tract, type of the peptic ulcer and its causes, pathogenesis and its morphology, and how to diagnose the peptic ulcer, and end up with the top 3 questions. So let us study in detail. So let us go for the definitions. Definition is very simple. It defined as a breach in the mucosa of the alimentary tract which extends through the muscularis mucosa or deeper. So it's a simple break in the continuity of the mucosa or breach in the mucosa of the alimentary tract. The peptic ulcer of the chronic, most often solitary lesions which is less than 4 centimeter that occur in any portion of the gastrointestinal tract. So let us study in detail. So common parts where peptic ulcer comes, it is a number one, it is a gastroesophageal junction, and next is lesser curvature and antrum of the stomach, and third one it is known as the first part of the duodenum. We'll go for the normal structure. So we need to understand about the normal structure in order to understand about the peptic ulcer. So normal histology or normal gastrointestinal tract made up of 4 layers, that is serosa, muscularis mucosa, submucosa and mucosa. So the uppermost layer is known as the serosa and the innermost layer is known as the mucosa. So this is the outermost layer, it is known as the serosa. It is made up of the serous fluid, and then next inside the serosa it is a muscularis mucosa made up of the 3 layers. One is the circular muscle fibers, next one is the longitudinal muscle fibers, third one it is the oblique muscle fibers. Then inside the muscularis mucosa there is a submucosa, and inside the submucosa there is a presence of mucosa. So we need to understand about the mucosa properly in order to understand the peptic ulcer. So this mucosa, for our understanding, we are making into the 3 parts. Number 1 part it is the lamina propria, and next one it is the basement membrane, and third one it is the epithelium. So this is the basic understanding about the normal histology. So let us study about the, as we know, normal histology is consist of the 4 layers: serosa, muscularis mucosa, submucosa and mucosa. So we'll study what is meant by erosion. Erosion means partial loss of epithelium within the basement membrane. In this picture you can able to identify there is a partial loss of the mucosal epithelium, and that is pertaining only inside the basement membrane. So whereas ulcer it is break in the epithelial continuity and lesions beyond the basement membrane. So you can see it here. There is a break in the continuity of the epithelial and the lesion is gone behind the basement membrane. That means the lesion is gone to the up to muscularis mucosa. So the simple understanding between the erosion and ulcer is the erosion is the only the partial thickness which is pertaining within the basement membrane, whereas ulcer it is behind the basement membrane. And usually the peptic ulcer patient first develop the erosion followed by ulcer. Let us go for the normal functions. So we need to know about the normal function in order to understand about the peptic ulcer pathogenesis. There are so many cells which is present into the stomach that secretes the so many materials, so many secretions that we'll study one by one in detail. The parietal cell which is present into the body of the stomach secretes the hydrochloric acid as well as into the intrinsic factor. Intrinsic factor secretes usually one of the very common NEET examination questions. Chief cells secretes the pepsin that also present into the body of the stomach, and ECL cells which also present into the body of the stomach and that secretes the histamine. Endocrine cells that also present into the body of the stomach that secretes the hunger hormone. Mucosal cells which is present into the body as well as into the antrum of the stomach that secretes the mucus. D cells and G cell which is present into the body as well as into the antrum D cell secretes the somatostatin and G cell secretes the gastrin. Surface epithelial cells, which is present into the all part of the stomach, that secretes the mucus as well as into the HCO3, hydrogen carbonate. And all nucleated cells which is present into the stomach, that secretes the, not only in the stomach, every part of the body, that secretes the prostaglandin. So why we need to discuss? The reason is simple. The gastric ulcer, the normal volume of the gastric ulcer is 1 to 1.5 liter per day, and pH is acidic in nature, and some of the constituents some of the gastric juices consist of inorganic substance and organic substance. Inorganic substance is a chlorine and HCO3 and cation like hydrogen, potassium, sodium and calcium, and organic substance like intrinsic factor, mucin and pepsins. So the gastric juice consists of many substances. So let us study the normal gastrointestinal tract consists of the two factor. One is aggressive factor and defensive factor. So the equilibrium between the aggressive factor and defensive factor produce the diseases. So some of the aggressive factors like hydrochloric acid, pepsin, bile acid, smoking, alcohol, non-steroidal drug and H. pylori infection. Some of the defensive factors like mucus, bicarbonate, mucosal blood flow, epithelial regeneration and prostaglandin. So this always in the equilibrium in the normal status. The both aggressive factor and defensive factor will be in the normal equilibrium. But whereas in the peptic ulcer leads to decrease defensive factor as well as increased aggressive factors. So let us study into the pathogenesis. So before going to pathogenesis, we will go for the types of ulcer, peptic ulcer. So we have broadly divided into two types, gastric ulcer and duodenal ulcer. Simple understanding, the ulcer develop into the gastric region, it is known as the gastric ulcer, and ulcer develop into the first part of duodenum, it is known as the duodenal ulcer. Let us discuss in the difference between gastric ulcer and duodenal ulcer. So very important to know, suppose the patients presented with the complaints of combination of the symptom. So with the combination of the symptom, we can able to identify whether he is suffering from the gastric ulcer or duodenal ulcer symptomatically. So now the lesions, usually the gastric ulcer usually present into the lesser curvature and pylorus part of the stomach, whereas the duodenal ulcer present into the first part of the stomach. And incidence is gastric ulcer is more common than the duodenal ulcer, and age is the 50 to 60 years in case of gastric ulcer, whereas 30 to 40 years in case of duodenal ulcer. Etiology, usually the persons working in the labor work and H. pylori infection and increased aggressive factor is responsible for gastric ulcer. Stress, the persons working in the stress environment, H. pylori infection and increased defensive factor that leads to the duodenal ulcer. And acid level is increased in case of gastric ulcer, where there is a normal or low acid level in case of duodenal ulcer. Very important for the understanding. And ulcer, usually there is a single ulcer, solitary, size is less than 4 cm, shape is a oval shape and margin is a flat or edematous, edges is a punched out or sharp edges, floor is very clean and base is the necrosis of the submucosa. So this about the ulcer, we will discuss in the pathogenesis about these characteristics. Duration, the gastric ulcer usually present in the weeks, where there is a duodenal ulcer present into the months. And epigastric pain usually felt by the gastric ulcer patient, where there is a right hypochondric pain with a radiation identified into the duodenal ulcer patient. And the onset of the pain is as soon as immediately after food, whereas the duodenal ulcer, the pain comes after 1 to 3 hours of the food. And food aggravate the gastric ulcer patient and relieve the duodenal ulcer patient. And usually the gastric ulcer patient prefer the bland food with the devoid of fried foods, whereas the duodenal ulcer patient will take all type of the food. And vomiting is uncommon in case of duodenal ulcer, where there is very common in case of gastric ulcer. Hematemesis is a very common in case of gastric ulcer than the duodenal ulcer. Melena is a more common in case of duodenal ulcer than the gastric ulcer. And the weight loss is present as well as significant in case of gastric ulcer, where there is no significance of weight loss in case of identified in case of duodenal ulcer. And complication is perforations and hemorrhage, as well as the very important point it is the gastric ulcer patient may progress to malignancy, where there is a duodenal ulcer, hemorrhage and perforation is a complication of the duodenal ulcer, and this duodenal ulcer never progress to the malignancy. So that's the end of the difference between gastric ulcer and duodenal ulcer, very important for the diagnosis of the patients. So let us go for the causes of the peptic ulcer. Some of the risk factor, there are 4 risk factors pertaining for the person is going to get the peptic ulcer. That is a prolonged intake of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, that is a NSAID, and smoking, alcohol and blood group O, and stress and anxiety. So the person's exposure to this following environment can prone to get the peptic ulcer. And some of the causes are H. pylori infection. 80 to 90% of the peptic ulcer patients suffering from H. pylori infections. Certain disorders are predisposed like pernicious anemia, chronic gastritis, Zollinger-Ellison syndrome. This and all is some of the causes of the etiology of the peptic ulcer. Let us go for the very important chapter, that is a pathogenesis of the peptic ulcer. So as we discussed, the peptic ulcer is a combination of increased aggressive factor and decreased defensive factor. As we know, what and all the aggressive factor. One example is HCl is the aggressive factor. Bicarbonate is the one of the examples of defensive factor. So where there is increased HCl and decreased mucus and bicarbonate leads to the person go for the erosion followed by the ulcer. So some of the risk factors like as we discussed, NSAID, H. pylori infections, blood group O, and stress and anxiety can prone to get the patients of bring to the peptic ulcer. And these are peptic ulcer patients. The simple, as we know the histology, the GIT made up of the 4 layers: serosa, muscularis mucosa, submucosa and mucosa. When this following risk factor and causes, the persons get the mucosal erosion. That is, as we discussed, the mucosal erosion is the partial loss of the mucosal epithelium that is within the basement membrane. When this increased aggressive factor is persisting for the long time, then the person go for the ulceration, that is the continuity of the mucosal epithelium lost as well as the lesions goes beyond the basement membrane or the reaches to the muscularis mucosa. So that is the definition of the peptic ulcer. And if they depend upon the increased aggressive factor, the persons directly can go to the ulcerations. And morphology, macroscopic and microscopic. Macroscopic, gastric ulcer found in the lesser curvature and pylorus part of the stomach, and duodenal ulcer found in the first part of the duodenum, and ulcer usually single, and sometimes we can see into the multiple ulceration into the upper gastrointestinal tract. And microscopic, it is a very interesting one. It consists of the 4 zones. Number 1 is a necrotic zone, number 2 is a superficial exudative zones, and third one it is a granulation tissue zone, and fourth one it is a zone of cicatrization. So let us discuss about in the detail. So you can see it here, it is a necrotic zone. So this is the area is a necrotic zone. This is the black one. It is a necrotic zone. So usually which type of necrosis occurring into the case of peptic ulcer is the coagulative necrosis. Then afterwards exudative zones. So once any pathology starts with the inflammation, so here also the starts with the inflammation. Here it is a fibrinous inflammation starts. So this is the second part, and third it is the healing part. Granulation tissue, after the inflammation there is a granulation tissue formation. There is a non-specific inflammation with a neovascularization. We can see it here. This is the neovascularization and the granulation tissue will be forms. And the last portion it is a cicatrization zone, that is the presence of the fibrous particles which is present into the muscularis mucosa as well as into the serosa. So this is the 4 zone is able to identify into the patient's histopathological slide, you can able to identify. So now very important one, how to diagnose is the peptic ulcer. The diagnosis based on the 4 level, that is a routine examination, that is a blood and stool examination, H. pylori test, radiology and upper GI endoscopy. And routine examination able to identify the fecal occult blood test, and H. pylori test we can identify the non-invasive and invasive, and radiology is the barium swallow X-ray, and upper GI endoscopy you can able to detect the size of the ulcer and source of the bleeding. So very important things to remember here, it is 2 investigation, H. pylori test as well as into the upper GI endoscopy able to diagnose is the peptic ulcer. So H. pylori test, as we discussed, it is divided into the invasive and non-invasive. So non-invasive have 2. Number 1 is a C13 or C14 urea breath test and stool antigen test. This is a non-invasive or stool antigen test is a serological test commonly used for the H. pylori, detection of the H. pylori. And invasive test is a identification of the through mucosal biopsy and take the histopathology, you can able to identify the, we have discussed the 4 layer, that 4 layer able to identify. Rapid urase test, so very important one, if the H. pylori is present, so what happens, the patients will get more urase, that can that you can able to identify through the rapid urase test kit. And third one, it is a microbial culture, able to identify the H. pylori bacteria through the gram stain. So this is under the H. pylori test. So that's the end of the peptic ulcer. So here we are going to study the summary. Number 1, it defined as the breach in the mucosa of alimentary tract which extends through the muscularis mucosa or deeper. Ulcer occur mainly due to imbalance between the defensive and aggressive factor of GIT. It have 2 types, namely gastric ulcer and duodenal ulcer. Gastric ulcer always progress to the malignancy, whereas the duodenal ulcer never progress to the malignancy. So that's the end of the peptic ulcer. Study well. So now time to discuss about the top 3 questions. Number 1, most common site of gastric ulcer is number 1 insula, number 2 greater curvature, number 3 is the fundus of the stomach, number 4 is the antrum. Question number 2, H. pylori are obligate parasitic on gastric mucosa or gastric gram negative non-flagellated spiral organism or does not infect the duodenal mucosa or none. Question number 3, very important for the NEET examination, that is not connected with the peptic ulcer, indigestion, mental stress, blood group or irregular diet. So post your answer into the YouTube comment box. So if you are able to answer these 3 questions, that means you can yourself you can able to know about brief understanding of the peptic ulcer you knows. So that's about the top 3 questions. So study well. Thanks to one and all. So I always end up with the class, that is knowledge is our power. So study well. So next class will bring about the new topic. Thanks one and all.